Horrible, horrible news. Blood now spilled. We don't know any more details about it. But again, this is violence that has been inspired by President Trump, by President Trump's supporters, by Senator Cruz, by Senator Hawley, by the more than 100 members of the House who were objecting to the constitutional responsibilities, the fact that Joe Biden was elected. It is an absolutely disgraceful moment in American history, and there are specific villains who are responsible for it. I want to go to Manu Raju right now. Manu, tell us more about what you're seeing on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, well, possible good news on the Senate side of the Capitol. Our colleague Ted Barrett has been told by police officers on the Senate side that it has been cleared of rioters, of protesters, of demonstrators. The Senate floor, there's debris on the Senate floor because that was breached by protesters, but there's no more protesters, demonstrators, rioters. They're not in the Senate floor. They're not on the Senate wing of the Capitol. These demonstrators have been pushed into the Capitol Rotunda area. Now, that rotunda is the dome of the Capitol that is in between the House and the Senate. There are many protesters that are there. At the moment, the police are escorting out these rioters outside of the Capitol. They've been on the east and west front steps of the Capitol. They're being escorted out one by one from that side. Now, it's uncertain what's happening on the House side of the Capitol. What we do know is that the House members have been evacuated. They've been told to go into their offices. They're not leaving their offices. That's similar on the Senate side. But we do know that there was an armed standoff that occurred on the House floor. Don't know what the latest is on that situation because everybody has been told to clear from that area, including the pool reporters who were in the gallery that witnessed that armed standoff. Uncertain what's going on with that. But there are still many rioters, demonstrators who have breached the security perimeters, have come into the building. They are now cleared from the Senate side of the Capitol. They are in the Capitol Rotunda, and the police are trying to get them out one by one as the situation unfolds. Uncertain again what's happening in the House, as we saw that video of individuals breaking a window, entering the building. That appeared to be on the House side of the Capitol. So there are many of these rioters still in the building, but at the moment, the members are staying away from this. They're locked down, and the Senate side appears clear at the moment.
It is an embarrassing, dangerous, frightening spectacle that we are witnessing. Let's go to Alex Marquardt, who's also on Capitol Hill. Alex, we hope that you are staying safe out there. What are you seeing?
Jake, we are seeing a number of local police officers from Montgomery County, Maryland, who have arrived in the past 20 minutes en masse. It feels like the cavalry has arrived. More than a dozen vehicles with all sorts of officers piling out of those vehicles and suiting up in riot gear. A number of them putting on their gas masks. Obviously, that would assume that some tear gas will get fired at some point. But in terms of the protesters, and in fact, we should call them rioters because that's exactly what they are, not many have moved. We can still see them outside the Capitol building after storming through those police barricades. It's a very aggressive crowd, a very violent crowd. And I have to say, Jake, they figured out who our team was, and they swarmed us and mobbed us and pushed us out of there, calling us traitors, which is just a stunning thing to have happen in your own country from your fellow citizens. So it is a very unfortunate scene, a very dark scene, but there is a feeling right now that finally there is a law enforcement response and that they are about to take control of the situation.
All right, well, stay safe, Alex. This is, of course, one of the final days of the Trump presidency, and this is a moment of Trump's legacy. This is Trump's legacy. Divided people, millions of Americans who have been fed lies about the election, millions of Americans who have been told that journalists and those who would defy Trump are traitors, and they are expressing their frustrations and their anger with violence, and they are not being discouraged to do so by President Trump. In fact, the lies have been amplified. The lies have been given credence by the likes of Senator Ted Cruz and Senator Josh Hawley, the leader of the House Republicans, Kevin McCarthy, giving these deranged conspiracy theories credibility by acting as though there's something there. There isn't. Judge after judge, governor after governor, Democrats, Republicans, independents have all looked at it and said, There is nothing there. The election was clean, or as clean as elections go in this country, and Joe Biden is the president-elect. Abby, I have to say, it makes perfect sense that the Trump presidency would end this way, but it is no less shocking and saddening to witness.
It's a real tragedy, I think, for this country that this is what we're seeing now. And it's the result of a president who has instigated this from the very beginning, when months ago he refused to say that he would support a peaceful transfer of power. This is the moment that would come into play, where he can say, I lost the election, Joe Biden will be the next president, evacuate the Capitol right now. He won't say it. But what's also really notable about watching this scene, a few months ago in Washington, where we live and where we work, you couldn't drive down the street without being stopped by National Guard vehicles, by law enforcement of every type and every stripe. The Bureau of Prisons was here in Washington. Every block of this city was in lockdown because of Black Lives Matter protesters. Now you have thousands of armed protesters who happen to all be Trump supporters, who are mostly not Black Lives Matter protesters, they're mostly white. And they're storming the Capitol with violence. Someone has been shot. Glass is being broken. Lawmakers are in lockdown wearing gas masks. And it's looking at these pictures, where's law enforcement? Capitol Police struggling to control this, and you don't hear the president saying, we are sending reinforcement. You don't see him saying, we are sending help to protect this federal building, to protect the lawmakers who are inside of it and the people who work there and the people of the city. That is incredibly shameful.
No, you're exactly right. And you know what we're looking at, you see the scaffolding there. Well, first of all, look at this. It's getting violent outside. But
I think these are images from earlier.
Or images from earlier, but part of the reason why we saw scaffolding on the west front of the Capitol is because that's where the inauguration for Joe Biden is going to happen on January 20th. And it was 4 years ago, almost to the day, January 20th, 2017, that Donald Trump stood in that spot after he took the oath of office and talked about American carnage. And it's come full circle. After all of the drum beating, after all of the unbelievable tweeting and inciting of violence that he has done, both at rallies and on social media, he got what he wanted. And now they're trying to put the genie back in the bottle. They're trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube. Pick your analogy, and you can't do it. You can't do it, and I'm not sure. I know, Jake, I'm guessing you're going to say you're not sure that the president even wants to do that. But we do know that the people around him are wanting to do that. They want to stop this from happening.
What I want to ask is, because I saw conservative commentator Jonah Goldberg, who is a critic of President Trump, because he's somebody who actually cares about conservative values. Jonah tweeted something about the 25th Amendment, which is when a president is not capable of carrying out his constitutional duties, the cabinet gets together and basically removes him from power. And I'm wondering if I don't think he would tweet something like that lightly. I know he wouldn't. And when you're looking at what's going on, the violence going on the U.S. Capitol right now, something we have never seen in the United States. I'm wondering whether or not that's something that the cabinet should consider. But look, we'll talk about that in 1 second. I want to go right now to the White House where Caitlin Collins is. And Caitlin, this is absolutely disgusting, and it is entirely President Trump's fault, aided and abetted by his supporters. Is he going to do anything to stop it?
So far, he hasn't, Jake. He's only put out 2 tweets. His last one said, the people on Capitol Hill should remain peaceful. And if you're looking at those scenes, nothing about that is peaceful, given that we are seeing armed standoffs, a woman being shot, reinforcements being sent to the Hill. And instead, the president is not acting like this is the reality that's happening, even though he is currently sitting in the West Wing watching this coverage unfold, I am told, by multiple people. And Jake, the president is being encouraged by staff to put out a stronger statement about what is happening with his supporters on Capitol Hill right now. But so far, he has declined to do so, and he has declined to tell them to get out of the building. Instead, he has only sent out those 2 tweets, including the one asking them to remain peaceful, saying we are the party of law and order. But Jake, clearly these are his supporters. They are wearing his sweatshirts and waving his flags, and the president is refusing advice from staff to put out a stronger statement on what you are seeing happening right now.
I wonder if there is anybody with a conscience in the cabinet who is considering doing anything to stop this, because this is a nation of laws, and there is a provision in the Constitution, the 25th Amendment, to step in when the president is not capable of governing. Let me go to Jim Acosta right now. Jim, what are you hearing from people inside the White House? This is an absolutely revolting, in both senses of the word, display. And it is President Trump inspired this, encouraged this, is not stopping it, is entirely responsible.
Oh, he's totally responsible, Jake, no question about it. I should point out in just the last minute, Kayleigh McEnany, the outgoing White House press secretary, she just put out a tweet saying that the president, at his direction, has ordered the National Guard over to the U.S. Capitol to get control of the situation. Her tweet says, the National Guard is on the way along with other federal protective services. We reiterate President Trump's call against violence and to remain peaceful. That is the totality of that tweet from the White House press secretary, Jake. But I will tell you, this is not sufficient. As you know, Jake, we have a White House briefing room. It has lights, it has cameras, it has people ready for the President of the United States or the White House press secretary or the chief of staff, at the very least, to come in and call for calm. That is not happening. They're putting out tweets. That's it. That is the entirety of their response at this point, and it's just insufficient. I walked up to the upper press area of the West Wing just a short time ago. That's where the press secretary has her office, other staffers and on the comm staff and so on. These young press aides, they're the last ones who are here. They're sort of the dead enders of the Trump administration. They seem dumbstruck. They seem shell-shocked. Looking at their faces, they just don't seem to understand what is unfolding around them, and it is astonishing. I will tell you, I've never seen anything quite like it in my 8 years covering the White House. A White House staff that appears to be immobilized, incapable of dealing with the situation, and as Caitlin was just saying, part of the reason why is because the president is just watching this on TV. He is now a spectator of the destruction that he has unleashed. He is not acting as a commander-in-chief anymore. He is just a television viewer-in-chief, watching all of this unfold, and it's disgraceful. It's just one of the most disgraceful things I think we're ever going to witness in our lives.
No, absolutely. Shame on him. Shame on what he has brought to this country, the destruction and the division, and now the violence we see at the U.S. Capitol, stopping the U.S. constitutional duties of the members of Congress from being carried out, to his everlasting shame. Anderson?
Jake, as you said, this is the legacy of Donald J. Trump, and frankly of every member of his family who has worked around him, who has supported him and enabled him. His sons, his daughter Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner. This is what they and all the enablers around him have wrought. The administration, which has called themselves the Law and Order Administration, the president who liked to call himself a Law and Order president. This is what their vision of law and order is. Imagine this was a group of black protesters. Imagine this was a group of thousands of Muslims who had stormed the Capitol. Imagine what would happen then, how the reaction would have been different. Senator Santorum, you worked in, the Senate building. Seeing these images, what do you think?
Well, it's heartbreaking. I understand people's anger. I understand a lot of people feel that the country is at stake. But what I don't understand is how people have lost faith in our country to the point where they feel they have to do things like this. That somehow or another that there's just no other opportunity to deal with the challenges that we have in front of us other than to storm the Capitol. That is considered to be a rational act by people who say they love America. If you love America, you understand the greatness of our country is the great institutions we have, and you defend those institutions. You defend our Constitution. You don't try to overturn through violence and protest the things that you say you value. And so I see what's going on here. I see people breaking into the Capitol and breaking into the Senate chamber, and all because they think that their country is being taken away from them. I would just say that you are adding to the hopelessness of people, and you're not doing anything to restore the greatness of America by tearing it down.
Then,
so it's.
Then we hear a lot of talk about, the understandably they are grieved. There have been generations of people in this country who have not had rights, who have not had the right to vote, who have not had the right to marry, who have not had the equality that most of us are able to take for granted because of the zip code we were born in and the color of our skin, or our status in society. And so the idea that these people feel themselves so grieved, I mean, there were generations of people who actually had real grievances. These are wannabe weekend warriors who are all just hopped up and filled with self-righteous indignation based on lies.
This is treason. This is treason. This is insurrection. This is rebellion. Period. I have heard people looking at small protests in Portland, Oregon, where people were tear gassed, beaten, kidnapped. And they said, no. Whatever you do to those protesters is okay, because we have to have law and order. We have to have law and order. This